Be formless, shapeless, like water.
Now, there are many great martial art movie stars, but there's only one Bruce Lee. And despite starring in 4 of the most iconic action movies of the 20th century, surprisingly, there are very few games based on the great man. We had this back in the early 1980s, which appeared on most home computers, like the Commodore 64 and the Spectrum. But we'd have to wait until 2002 before we would get this. Bruce Lee, Quest of the Dragon, only on Xbox.
Okay, first things first, before any of you say, well, what about dragging the Bruce Lee story on the 16-bits? No, I didn't forget about that one. I simply don't consider it a true Bruce Lee game, as it's based on the Jason Scott Lee character, so I put it in the same class as Bruce Lee, Bruce Lowe or Dragon Lee. That said, welcome one and all to my look at Bruce Lee Quest of the Dragon on Xbox. Certainly one of the stranger releases of the era. I can only assume it was designed to coincide with the 30th anniversary of Bruce's sudden and still hotly debated passing. Now, for those of you who don't know, I am a die-hard fan of Asian action cinema. Martial arts movies in particular are my cocaine. I even have a YouTube channel devoted to the subject called Video Holocaust. And if you're interested and want to learn a bit more, then there'll be a link to it in the description. But what about the game itself? Well, I was always told if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all, but as that would make for a pretty short video, I guess I'll just have to peel back the layers of mediocrity and repetition to see if any fun at all can be found. Now, when this game was first released, I won't lie to you, I got very excited. There was talk of actual Jeet Kune Do masters being used for motion capture, along with the promise of realistic facial animation. And boy is it ever realistic. I have never seen a character in a video game look as baffled and bored as I did playing it. Bruce Lee is a cultural icon, not just a movie star. His image and reputation as one of the greatest martial artists who ever lived is known to every generation, whether you've seen his movies or not. Yet the game is so bland and by the numbers, it really makes you wonder who the target audience were. When I first played this, I thought I was overthinking things, and maybe I was actually overqualified, as Bruce Lee is a hero of mine, and his teachings and personal philosophy were well known to me. But after putting some time into it, I have come to the conclusion that it's not me. This game is just crap. The controls are fiddly and frustrating, the enemies have the intelligence of used teabags, but the worst part, the one unforgivable aspect is, the whole thing is so boring. Early on you're given a set of nunchucks, and you're thinking, hey up, now we're cooking with gas, but the clumsy controls that have you targeting one enemy while 3 others try to insert pointed objects where the sun don't shine ruin the fun and flow, and you're left resorting to button bashing. So would I recommend Quest of the Dragon to Xbox owners who are looking for an action title to satisfy their beat-em-up needs? Well, despite my dislike for this game, I know lots of people who did enjoy it, and it is something unique for a console that always struggled for an identity of its own. Overall, I would say try before you buy. If you have the patience to plod through the early levels, the game does get a little better, but for me, it was too little, too late. If you've yet to experience the fluid movements of Bruce Lee, I would say check out the 4 movies he completed before his death, and give Quest of the Dragon a miss. Instead, I would say, dig out your old Mega Drive or Super Nintendo from the back of the cupboard, dust them down, and play Dragon the Bruce Lee story. What? I said I didn't think it was a true Bruce Lee game. I never said I didn't like it. So, my name's Gray, you've been watching Consoletronix. If you haven't done so already, why not subscribe? So all that's left for me to say is thanks for watching, and be sure to check out my future videos. Laters.